A sloppy second period and a power play that continues to look awful leads to the Stars' first loss of the season. The Capitals take this one by a final score of 3-2 in DC. We'll break it all down next and plenty more on Locked On Stars.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Well, the Dallas Stars will not go 82-0 this season, unfortunately. The Capitals hand the Stars their first loss of the season by a final score of 3-2. A sloppy second period and a couple of self-inflicted wounds come back to haunt the Stars this evening. We'll break down this one, but we have to move on to some positive news on the Dallas Stars front, and that is Jake Oettinger has been extended. Otter has been paid. We'll react to that and then prepare you for the Western Conference Final rematch on Saturday. So a busy episode on a Friday here on Locked On Stars. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. Drop a like and a comment below about what you saw last night in a really frustrating game against the Caps. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, my 13,000-foot view of this one is the Capitals just continued to get better and better as the game wore on, and Dallas actually got off to a rather good start in the game, one of their better starts this season, but just got really, really sloppy as the game moved along, and the Capitals took advantage of their chances and thoroughly outplayed the Stars for the last 40 minutes of the contest, in my opinion. Dallas made a push late with the 6-on-5. I know Rope hit the post really, really late in the game, but Lindgren was solid for the Capitals, and they defended really hard. They were physical, and they deserve to win this hockey game. And they get a 3-2 win. They win back-to-back games, and they hand the Stars their first loss of the season. It looked like it was going to be a picture-perfect night early when the Stars killed off a penalty and they scored shorthanded. Colin Blackwell with his first goal as a Dallas Stars, an absolute beauty. What a play by Oscar Beck as well to get the puck to him, and he was all alone on a breakaway. He undresses Lindgren, and the Stars were off and running in that first period, which was really their best period of the contest in all aspects of their game. They outshot the Caps 7-6 in the period, and they sort of dictated the play for the majority of the first 20. But after that, they just sort of fell into a lull. And I had a few listeners reach out to me on Twitter and use the word uninterested. And I don't know if that's the fair term for it. I would say more complacent than anything. They just seem to be okay with a 1-goal lead, and we're just going to sort of walk this to the finish line, and the Caps aren't going to let you do that, let alone another team in the National Hockey League. They came after Dallas, and the Stars in the second period got real loose, especially in their own zone. I thought it was a night to forget for pretty much every defenseman not named Esa Lindell. Harley and Heiskanen had a really bad night that led to the first Washington goal. Miro tried to make a pass and Harley couldn't control it. And then next thing you know, Tom Wilson is able to beat DeSmith from the tops of the circles to get them on the board. And the Stars, again, really struggled with their defensive zone play, a couple of turnovers that lead to Capitals goals. Right? Robo had a real soft clearance attempt that was held in, and it led to the go-ahead goal by Radish. And the Capitals just sort of held on from there. They defended hard. It was a 4-goal second period. The Stars did get the equalizer with Jason Robertson after surrendering the lead. Robertson with his second of the season. That top line sort of had some life. They got to the front of the net, and that was something Dallas was not able to do much of in the contest. They were not able to get in tight on Lindgren enough and really force him to be great. But Robertson did on that chance after a block shot finds Robertson in front. He's able to twist it home. And you thought maybe the Stars would get some life from that. And again, it felt like they were complacent with being level in the contest. And the Capitals continued to push. And the Stars power play, I'm sorry, Pete. I know you want us to give you 10 games. We're not doing it here on Locked On Stars. It's awful. It's awful again. They go 0 for 4 tonight, and they had a chance late in the game after Miro got tripped up in the third, and you're thinking, all righty, you can resolve. You can kind of pay for your sins here if you're able to score and tie the game, but just nothing. The amount of times Miro Heiskanen has the puck at the blue line, and he has no options to go to. I mean, no options. It was really apparent on the final power play of the game. Miro had the puck at the left point, and Jamie Benn went to the front of the net. Johnston went to the net, and I want to say it was possibly Robertson that was sort of in front of the net as well. And Miro had no options other than to just shoot it. And he just shoots it into his shin pad. And he has plenty of responsibility for the failures of the power play as well. Don't get me wrong. Miro needs to be a lot better. I mean, he's without a point in the first 5 games of the season. It is consistently the same thing over and over again. There's no adjustments. The personnel has been the same. They try to get the same exact shot with Robertson at the right circle or Miro just shooting through 30 bodies. But late in the game, when you need a goal, I mean, Miro's just like hung out to dry at the top of the zone. Like he's got nowhere to go but shoot it into his shin pad. And trust me, he has a lot to do with some of the issues as well. But I'm sorry, it's been the same stuff for the first 5 games of the season. It would be a different conversation if they're flipping personnel, their strategy changes, the way they're attacking is different, but it's the same. And I'm sorry, but I can't give you till 10 games if you're gonna force feed me the same stuff constantly. It's asinine is what it is. And look, again, it's a really recent reaction to what happened tonight, and it's just a loss at the end of the day, right? It's their first loss of the season. They were going to get one, but it's just like, come on. The power play needs to be better. And again, the caveat, it's 5 games into this thing, but they really, really need to fix something. Their PK was great, though. I mean, they're 5 for 5. They were brilliant again because they're just working hard. They're outworking the opposition. They're not doing that on the power play. They're not outworking the PK. And the PK's been good on the other side. I can acknowledge that too. But there's got to be some give and take here, and Dallas has not looked very good on the man advantage. You look at the scoring chances at 5-on-5, 19-17 in favor of the Stars, but they didn't create a lot of high danger. The expected goals for were just 2.37 for Dallas. It was 3.37 for Washington. They outplayed Dallas in this one, and the Stars need to be more disciplined. They got caught in the box a bit too much because of some errant sticks that got caught in some bodies, and they're playing strong and they're playing physical. You're going to have to live with some calls here and there, but I think it's disrupting the rhythm when they find themselves on the PK 3 to 5 times a night. And that's sort of been the case. They now have, they had 15 penalties coming into the game, and now they have 20. It's just, it throws a wrench into some of their issues, but they haven't been consistent enough up front. And Daryl Razor Ray, he mentioned it, where they're just not setting themselves up for success shift after shift, right? It's just in spurts. Like you get that shift in the second period from that top line. You're okay, here we go. But they don't build off of that. And I think you're starting to see where DeBoer was coming at after that loss, or not after the loss, after the win against San Jose, where there's just a lot of room to improve. But look, they held in there and they didn't play very well. I guess there's something to be said for that. But like I said, I think it was a night to forget for almost every defenseman except Essel and Dell. You look at the worst graded players in the game, Miro, Lyubushkin, and Harley were 3 of the 5 worst graded out players via hockey stat cards. Harley was a negative 3.46. Miro was negative 0. Lyubushkin minus 1.67. And Brendan Smith was there as well. Fortunately for Dallas, Smith was able to return to action after taking a cross check early in that first period. He fell in awkwardly to the end wall, and he came up grabbing his right wrist. I believe it was his right or left. And he came up grimacing, and that could have been an issue with the Stars' depth already being questioned with Matt Dumba. And Dumba is still day-to-day. DeBoer said he's not going to be an option on Saturday, along with Tyler Seguin. He did mention Seguin is closer to return than Dumba, but I think we're not going to see them for another five days, probably, it feels like. It doesn't seem like there's a real timetable for them to return anytime soon. So we'll continue to monitor that. But yeah, it just wasn't sort of what we saw in the first 4 games kind of all came to rear its ugly head tonight. And it's a loss, and we're going to move on. That's what we're going to do here on Locked On Stars. It's just one, but it's a disservice not to bring up a power play that's just looked abysmal. And yes, they got off to a rough start last year. I get it, but it's a new season. They need to be better, or at least change it up. Something different, because it's the same stuff over and over again, and we know what the definition of that is. So we're going to move on here to more positive news on the Dallas Stars front. I think I hit on everything I sort of wanted to discuss here about this hockey game in a 3-2 loss to the Dallas Stars. But we're going to move on because Jake Oettinger has been extended. Brad Alberts, the president, tweeted out those little googly eyes once again on Twitter, and that means something big was going to happen. And boom, Jake Oettinger gets paid. We'll discuss that, my reaction to it. Let me know in the comment section how you're feeling about Jake Oettinger. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million subscribers and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is so much fun. It takes 30 seconds. Go ahead and download it on your smartphone. It's free. It's available. And use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $50 off instantly. Not $50 off. You get $50 when you play $5. Play your first $5 bet. You don't even have to win. And you can get $50 instantly when using Locked On NHL. You can pick certain numbers like over 2.5 shots for Wyatt Johnston, over half a goal for Jason Robertson. You pick 2 or more, and the more you pick, usually the bigger payday it can be. So use Prize Picks. It's so much fun. And go ahead and use our code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Well, the Dallas Stars have extended Jake Oettinger. We found out on Thursday morning He has been extended to an 8-year, $8.25 million cap hit. So excellent stuff by general manager Jim Nill. And I think maybe after the first 2 games of the season, Jim was thinking we may want to get this done. And it matches up with Jeremy Swayman, who, of course, just signed his big deal a few weeks ago with the Boston Bruins. It runs through 2032, 33, and 5 seasons so far. He's 116, 48, 23 record, 914 save percentage, 2.49 goals against average, and 11 shutouts. And of course, he has quite a bit playoff experience as well. But the Stars get him done, and I think it comes in at a great number, right around sort of where you would put him in the grand scheme of things, amongst the best goaltenders in the game. So it just matches up perfectly, along with Swayman, and you can make the argument he deserves more, but he'll keep more because of the no state income tax here in the great Lone Star State. It's a lot different than what Swayman is dealing with out there in Boston. But look, as you all know, I'm a big fan of Oettinger, and I said over the summer, you just pay him, you just give him the money, and you don't worry about it. 8 years and don't worry about it. And I think that's what the Stars did here. Jim Nill goes quietly about his business, as he usually does. Look, there is some pushback on his game still, and I get that. He came off a really bad year, but I think that's an anomaly. And maybe I'm naive in thinking that, but I talked about it coming into this season. I thought this was going to be a big year for Oettinger, his 4th really full season in the National Hockey League. I think he's going to get better, and Razor has mentioned that. And if anybody knows goaltenders, I think it's him. So I'll take his word for it. And I just think he's going to get better and better. And I know it's hard to commit that amount of money to players like that, but hey, I think the cap's only going to go up, and Jamie Ben's coming off the books at 9.5. He'll take less, and the Stars will still have some monies to move around in order to make Johnston work, and Stankoven and Robertson. There's still a lot of money that has to be moved around, and a lot of pieces that still have to be signed, but you'll really lock him up and you don't have to worry about it. And look, I know sometimes goaltenders are, you either have them or you don't. And I'm going to err on the side of having a number one. Maybe he's not going to be the Vasilevsky or the Bobrovsky or the Hellebuck of his generation. You hope he is. And I know he's going to be viewed through the terms of that $8.25 million contract. But from what I get in the playoffs, he usually steals you a game here or there. And from my eye, he usually gets better in the bigger moments. And he certainly hasn't been the Jake Oettinger that we saw in the Calgary series consistently when he first burst onto the scene. But he's been damn good. And let's face it, in the years that he hasn't been that great, he's still gotten to a couple of Western Conference final. I mean, that speaks to something, I think, in his game. He's just a gamer. He's just a gamer. And I'll ride with that. And I'll ride with it. So I'm thrilled with the extension. The Stars get, and I think, a fantastic number at the end of the day. I think it's just a perfect number for him and the Dallas Stars. So good on Jim Nill for getting this done. And you don't really have to worry about it anymore. Just to give you an idea on what's his contract comparables are in with that 8.25 extension. You got Sorokin in there at 8.25. Of course, Swayman is there now. And then there's a pretty big gap where John Gibson's at 6.4. So he's, the 5th to 6th highest paid goaltender in the NHL. And I think that's very fair. Igor's going to reset the market, or at least he's trying to. There's some lofty numbers being thrown around his way. And he deserves it too. So this is a great thing for Dallas at the end of the day. Gets him out of the way. Igor's going to get paid a crap ton, which he deserves. And I think as the years go on, you feel pretty darn good about his number. Just some more details into the extension. It's $6 million for the first 2 years. There's a no move clause from year 2 to 6. Year 7, 10-team approved trade list. And then year 8, a 10-team no trade list. So those are some of the details. It's the exact same Swayman contract except one additional no move year, as Oettinger is UFA eligible 1 year earlier, and that is via Puckpedia, who was right on this as usual. So big shout out to Puckpedia and all the wonderful work they do, which is kind of taken over for Cap Friendly, of course, which has absolved. So yeah, I'm thrilled about it, and he deserves it. Look, you say what you want, and maybe he has a lot of convincing to do to other people, but he's kind of the guy. He's kind of the guy here around Dallas. It's not like the Stars have a ton of options waiting in the wing. It's not like they had Askarov like Nashville had last year, even though he's gone now, right? They don't have the replacement there. Like, this is Ottinger's team, and I think he's only going to get better. I truly believe that, and I know you don't want to bank on that when you're paying somebody like this position, but it's the most important position in hockey. You got to have one, and I think Otter's gonna solidify the crease for years to come. So there we go. The Stars have signed him. Some positive news on a Thursday after a 3-2 loss against the Caps. Well, they now move on to a Western Conference final rematch on a Saturday matinee. The Edmonton Oilers coming to Dallas as the Stars will look for some revenge after being knocked out last spring. Let's look into that, and we'll wrap up an episode of Locked On Stars in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Go give them a look. A big return on FanDuel, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So go ahead and head over to our good friends at FanDuel on a Sunday when you're taking in all the action, watching a full football slate. Get over to FanDuel. It's free, it's available, and it's easy. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's FanDuel, FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to only show you incredible deals and seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You get seat views, a panoramic view from your seat before you buy, and they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You want to go to a Cowboys game, a Stars game here in the next few weeks. You want to go to comedy, a concert, you name it, they have it on FanDuel. So go ahead, go over to FanDuel, create that account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So the Stars will look to avenge their Western Conference final loss this Saturday against the Edmonton Oilers, who come to town off a really rough opening few weeks to the season. As I'm currently recording this, they do lead the Predators 3-2, so they're looking for back-to-back wins. So they may be coming into Dallas with a hot hand, but Edmonton, of course, we all know the familiar faces that come with the Oils. So you get McDavid and Draisaitl that have been off to a rough start, as I mentioned, but they are coming with vengeance. And speaking of McDavid, he got his first goal of the season. So they're starting to wind things up after a really, really slow start. But looking forward to an afternoon matinee. Jake Oettinger will be in between the pipes. And hopefully Dallas just has some juice, right? I think that's what has been sort of a disappointing theme in the first 5 games now to begin the season. Is just seems to be a lack of juice or energy in their game. And hopefully that sort of gets kicked out here, because look, it can get ugly in a hurry. And for as much as we're happy about Dallas being 4-1 here to begin the season, they haven't looked particularly great in any of the games. They've looked okay, I would say. I wouldn't even say good. They've been okay to begin the season. And yes, maybe it's a very harsh view of things, but you got Edmonton here, you got Boston in the next week, and then you got to go to Finland. And talk about concerns is going to be the aftermath of this Europe trip. That's going to be rough. You go over to Finland and you got to come back. And look, you got to kind of jump back into things. You get Chicago and Winnipeg, so 2 very important Central Division games there. I worry with the Stars and their play already this season, how the Finland trip will affect them. And maybe they're looking ahead, right? Maybe they're looking ahead and they're excited for that. They got, plenty of Finns that are thrilled and probably pumped to go over and play a few games against the defending Stanley Cup champions. So maybe there's some look ahead there, and they're not necessarily waking up for each and every game here prior to that. But that is a concern of mine, is coming back from Finland, is that how they're going to look. But yeah, you can't certainly overlook a team with the firepower that Edmonton can deploy on a nightly basis, and has a power play that can certainly make you pay. But it feels like we're in the spring again, and we're thinking like, okay, the Stars power play going to figure it out. Like they're going to score eventually, right? They're going to get it done. And is the PK going to be flawless like we've seen to begin the season? So yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. But Pete DeBoer after the game, I feel like I have to jump into this. Pete DeBoer, when asked about the power play after tonight's loss, said, "It's time to execute. We've got to get a power play goal in a game like that." So just 48 hours later, and his comments have certainly switched gears here a bit. So yeah, they were 1 for 4 against Nashville, and they're 0 for 4 since. They're 1 for 17. And look, again, we're 5 games into this thing, but they haven't done anything different yet. That is where the frustration for me is coming from, and why I've already sort of been hammering this on Locked On Stars. It's the same thing. Hopefully we'll see something different on Saturday against the Edmonton Oilers. We can only hope. And hey, if you have to put Sam Steele and Colin Blackwell on the 4th line to send a message, send a message. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Special teams will win you games. Power play would have won you a game tonight, or at least get you a point out of it. So anyways, Western Conference Final rematch, 3:00 puck drop on a Saturday. So yeah, that'll be a fun one. I'll get to watch that in its entirety, I believe so, before I have to hop on for my game over the weekend, which has been a lot of fun to begin the season with the Corpus Christi Ice Race. We're off to a hot start. We're 8-1-1, best start in franchise history. So Yeah, baby. They're off and running, and I'm looking forward to this weekend series against the Colorado Grit. So that's what I'll be up to on a Friday night and Saturday, enjoying some hockey and calling some games. So that's what I'll be up to, and I'll catch you on a Monday episode of Locked On Stars. So if you need to find me, I'll be at the American Bank Center in Corpus Christi, Texas. Come say hi, and we'll have some fun. But anyways, enough about me. The Stars. Stars are 4-1 now. That's it. They're 4-1. Have a great rest of your day. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a like. Comment as well. Thank you for all the love and support every single week and every single day here on Locked On Stars. Shout out to all you everydayers that tune in and discuss Texas hockey with me every single day. It's an absolute blast. Have a great weekend, Stars fans, and we'll see you on Monday. And we'll be ready to break down another episode /team/game. Whatever. I'm rambling now. Have a great rest of your day. See you on Monday. So long, Stars fans.